Hello and welcome to Crafts for Kids, kids of all ages. I'm Jann, your host. Lucky us, we live in Vermont, which has 4 beautiful seasons, and now it's spring. And for me, spring means holidays, Easter, that's the one that I know best, and the tradition of decorating Easter eggs. Now you might wonder, like I did, how did eggs become a part of Easter tradition? So I've learned that there was an ancient custom where eggs symbolized new life, kind of like the buds that we see popping up in the spring. And it evolved over the years to become part of the tradition of Easter decorations. Now, a fun fact, hundreds of years ago in Europe, it was forbidden to eat eggs during Lent. Now, Lent is 40 days long. That means no eggs for 40 days. So you can imagine what a treat it was to eat an egg on Sunday, the Easter Sunday. Now, let's decorate some eggs. You can do flat eggs with paper, and they can become a really wonderful garland. Or you can make 3D eggs and make an Easter tree. I found several branches on the ground and painted them and put them inside this little mustard pot and put some rocks in there to stabilize it. Now the other supplies you might need might be cord, that can be string or thin ribbon, if you want to make a garland or you want to make loops for these eggs. A glue stick is the best glue I found to use for this project. Paint. It can be poster paint or acrylics. If you do want to paint the branches, they look good unpainted too, if that's what you want. If you want to do the flat eggs, we do punch holes in the top. A hole punch is good. Pair of scissors, naturally, to cut out everything. And the last thing you need is paper. And I'll give you some ideas here. This is paper you can decorate. It can be cardstock or plain paper, in color or not. Construction paper works really well. It has some body to it. And scrapbook paper is very pretty. And it's also a good way to make these. And the last one is perhaps my favorite. I keep scraps of gift wrap paper. I just have a box that I keep it in, and I use it to make all sorts of things. So that's another idea. And they might be really wonky shapes, but we can work with it. So the first thing I'll do is show you how to make a flat egg. And it doesn't have to be the same on both sides. It can't be. But we want to make a template. This is what the template looks like. We're trying to mimic the shape of an egg. And I'll give you a tip on how to do that. The first thing is to draw a circle. Mine, I admit, I traced this one. You don't have to, though. You can draw your own circle. This one's about 2 inches across because I wanted it to be similar to the shape of an egg that we use every day. And then I take the middle of it, that distance, and draw a dot right here. This is just a guide for me to do this. And then sort of draw a curved line to connect to the round shape. Now, I wouldn't say that's perfect, but it's a beginning. Then I fold it in half in the center as I've marked it, and then cut around it. And this sort of evens out the lines that I drew. And we can correct it further if we want. Okay, I can see a little boggle right there. Now let's open it up and see. That's a pretty good egg shape. It's a little pointed at the top. So I'm going to cut that off. But there, that's a decent egg shape. So that's step number 1. The next step to make these flat eggs is to glue 2 pieces of paper together. And as I said, they don't have to be the same. And I let this dry a little bit, even though I used a glue stick, because it helps the glue from getting onto the scissors. Damp glue that can sort of work its way out. The next thing is to take the template you've just made and trace around it, which I'll do right here. I'm using a pencil You can use a light touch if you want, so it doesn't show up too much. And then I'm going to cut it out. Take off my scissors for this and just cut it out. Cuts very easily. And you can make a whole bunch of these. They can be scattered on a table if you don't want to do a garland. So there's the egg. Now I'll just use the hole punch and punch 2 holes. And there you have it. And just string them along if you want to make a garland. Now I'll just clean this up a little bit. We still use the template. And keep this here. Now to make the 3D eggs, these are made with a number between 4 and 8 pieces to glue together. And I've tested every one of them, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 is the fullest, but you'll see here it's a combination. And they all look good, so it depends on how much paper you have, and it depends on what you'd like to do. So I'm going to demonstrate 6. So you take a piece of paper, I'm using the old gift wrap paper that I like so much. Make sure it's wide enough for your template, and then fold it in half with a nice sharp crease, because that's going to help us glue it together later. And then we trace as many of these as you want. And I'm matching the edge of the template, which is folded, onto the folded piece of paper. And make sure to put the pretty side folded in, because we're going to glue this side. And then trace it like this. And then cut this out. And you are ready to go. See if I can do this without taking my glasses off. These are new glasses. Okay, so there we have 1 egg. Put this aside. The next step is to glue it. Now I took a 5-inch piece of that narrow ribbon and just glued the tips together to make a loop. And I find it easier to make that ahead of time. You don't have to. It's what I like to do. The next thing I'm going to do is take 6 of these and start gluing them together. Take this glue stick, and you glue them together still folded. So I'm going to just glue one. I always have paper underneath. Now, skinny egg the egg is narrower at the top, so you want to keep them lined up that way and match the edges and just press together. Okay, do the next one. I am going to take my glasses off here because I can see a little bit better now without them. Okay, yes, line up those edges. Glue the next one. And what you do is sort of a Goldilocks amount, not too much, not too little. Just match the point, match the edge, and then give it a good press. And we'll do that until we have, I think I'm doing 6 here. So match the point, and then match the edge, and which I didn't quite do right there. So if you didn't quite match it, you can lift it up. And that's one of the joys of working with a glue stick. It doesn't dry immediately. And I'm going to do 2 more. Match the point and match the fold. I hope you can see that. And then the last one, again, skinny side up, tall. The last one is right here. And you can do, it takes at least 4 of these to make a 3D shape. And I'm doing 6, which is kind of in the middle. So now you give it a good press. And then I'm going to glue this to the top. So hold this up like this. All the folded edges are right here. Put some glue right there. And then add the tip of the loop. Like that. Press it. And then we're going to glue this last one. And we hope it all goes together well. And that fell off, as it does, only on TV. It didn't do it at home when I tested this. Just put it back. So now we press those together and open these up to make sure they're not, sometimes they can stick, the edges can stick together. And then just sort of even this out. And I think that's pretty good. And there you have an egg. I think I'll hang it somewhere, maybe right here. Now I want to give you a tip. Washi tape is a fun thing if you happen to have it to decorate these eggs. And you would put it on after the egg is glued together, because that way you can line it up. You can cut strips of paper, and after you stick the first strip on, to the best of your ability, leave a little something hanging over the edge, because that helps you line each one up. It's a guide to line them up. And then you can trim that off later. Also, if you want to put something like a little heart shape in the middle, I've only started decorating this one. You can put it flat and then glue the heart and then open it up and fold it. So that's another trick. So that you can also do eggs with no loops if you want to give everybody one on their napkin as sort of a place card thing, or scatter them on the table, whatever you like. This is the washi tape that I mentioned that I like. So I hope that gives you an idea of Easter egg decorations made with paper. Flat ones, 3D ones, hang on a tree if you want, or hang anywhere you like. So thank you so much for joining us. I hope you enjoy making your Easter eggs. Bye-bye. Hello, and welcome to Crafts for Kids. I'm your host, Jann. Sunday, May 11th is Mother's Day. Have you ever wondered how these holidays began? Well, I've learned there were ancient customs that were distantly related, but ours began in 1914, that's quite a while ago, and it was following the efforts of a young daughter named Anna Jarvis, who simply wanted to honor her mother, and she wanted to help others celebrate their mothers, or grandmothers, or aunts, doesn't matter exactly whom. And it started to become a tradition, and we love to do it. So let's make a gift for mom or whomever you want. And the idea today is a luminaria. Tissue paper hearts have been decoupaged onto a clean, recycled jar. Now, decoupage is a French word that means decorate a surface with paper cutouts. That's simple, it's fun, it's easy. And you can do so many different things. Now, cutting out a heart shape out of tissue paper can be a little bit difficult because the paper is so thin. But there's a trick, and I'll show that trick to you. So here's what you need. You need a clean jar, not too big. You want to make sure that a tea light fits in it if you want to make it light up. You need white glue that can be thinned a little, or decoupage glue, which is what I'll use today to really show you the thickness. That's just right. You need a tea light if you want to light it up into a luminaria, and tissue paper. Now I'm using cool colors today. That's greens and blues and maybe certain purples, but I used very warm colors for the hearts. So you might use mom's favorite color or just whatever appeals to you. Now here's the trick to cut out a shape. It can be a flower, it can be maybe even a simple initial, whatever you like. You want to draw the shape you want on a piece of paper. I did a heart. Heart is so universal, but I think a flower would also be beautiful. Just draw it on a piece of paper and then put layers of tissue paper together, and that's the secret. I've done about 6 layers here. They can be multicolored or they can be one color. And then you just cut it out through all thicknesses. And this works really well. It's the secret when you have a very thin paper. I don't know if you can see this. Just hold it very firmly, and you may have to change where you place your hand. But hold it as securely as you can. Here I've made a bit of a mess, but these are hearts. So that's one idea. Now today I'm going to use squares, as I mentioned, in cool colors. So, and which I, cut with a pair of scissors. I always shake up glue, or decoupage medium in this case. And I'll just squirt some. I like to put it on a paper plate, and I do reuse these. I let the glue or the paint dry and then use it until it actually almost looks like a work of modern art. Now take your glass and put your fingers inside to hold it, so that way you're not touching anything. And take a little bit of glue on the tip of a brush and just place it where you think you would like, where you would like the square. And sometimes it works out just to pick out the paper with the brush itself and place it where you would like it. And then brush the glue. See the thickness of this? I don't know if you can see. That's thinner than regular glue. And then just brush over this. And start with the center of the shape and work out a thin, even coat. And that works really well. And as I've learned to do just a section at a time, because if you try to do too much like I did once, you'll end up accidentally smudging it. Well, at least I did. Maybe you won't. So I'm just going to pick another color, and this is really at random. I'm going to overlap this. Again, starting in the center, and just putting a nice, thinnish coat on. You don't want to use, it's Goldilocks all over again. You want to use just the right amount. And with a bit of practice, you will. See if, and you can do the bottom if you want, or let it overlap. And that's about pretty much what I would do. Maybe a little bit more, but you get the idea. And then when this dries, it becomes translucent. You can see through it when there's a light. And don't forget to do the top. And if you want to add a little skinny ribbon on top, that's kind of a nice finishing touch. And you can also make a little tag if you want to attach it to the ribbon. That's just another idea. So I'm going to turn on this tea light and drop it in to see if this shows up. But it will be very pretty at her bedside table if she has one, or maybe, I don't know, wherever it's dark. So I hope you enjoy making a Mother's Day gift for someone you love. Thank you for joining us. Bye-bye. Hello and welcome to Crafts for Kids. I'm your host, Jann. Today's project is a spring wreath. This is made out of an old egg carton. It's kind of fun. I love to recycle things. This could be for Easter, Mother's Day, Cinco de Mayo, whatever holiday you like, because it depends on the colors that you use. It can be hung. There's a little loop on the back, a little hanging loop, and you can string ribbon through it if you wish. And you can also put this flat on the table and put an LED candle in it, or else a hurricane lamp with a real candle. But it's really useful. Wreaths are timeless because of the shape. It suggests unity. The roundness suggests unity. And it sort of evokes a sense of harmony. That's why they've been popular for as long as we know. I'll show you how to make it. The first thing you need, the supplies, besides an egg carton, glue, and this is the one time I might recommend hot glue, because it does take a while for the glue to dry. So that's your choice. You need a scissor, maybe 2 sizes, up to you. You might need a pencil to draw a leaf or something, a bit of string, a brush to paint with, paint. It can be poster paint, acrylics, whatever you like. So the first step is to cut apart this into different sections. Cut apart the base. Now save this too, because this is really good for leaves, if you want leaves. This base, just to let you know, was for cakes, made for cakes, sort of a cake support. It's 10 inches across. The interior is about 6 inches. You can place a bowl on there and trace around it to decide how thick you want it. This is 2 inches, which works really well for the size flowers you make with the egg carton. So instead of a bowl, I used a little ruler and just measured a little dot every 2 inches. And then placed 2 dots for a hanging loop. And then punched it. You can use a large nail to punch it, or an adult can do that for you. And this has to be cut out with a craft knife. An adult does that, definitely. So then you're all ready. So we're back to cutting this apart. So this has 12 sections for a dozen eggs, and I always cut them apart into 12 little sections. And they look like this. A few will be a corner, and the rest will be in the center. So the first thing that I do is to cut away the edge. And you can try your scissors and see what size you like. So you just cut that off like that. And then this side I cut off, sort of the same height as the other side. So it looks something like that. Now I want to make a little flower out of this. Sometimes I do use a pencil. Since there's 2 edges here and 1 big edge here, so I have to divide this in half. And that's a starting point. I put a line right there because I want to make this into 8 petals. Or it could be 4 petals, or whatever you want. So the first thing I do is cut along that first line. So, and cut along right opposite that. And then in the middle between those 2, and in the middle again. And then I'm going to show you, so that's 4 sections. And I'll pull them out very gently, because I don't really want to rip it. But I did rip it a little bit. You might have to rip it a little bit. So you can see how that's the base. So if you want your flower to have 4 petals, that's the beginning. Now I think I'll make 8. So it means I'm going to divide each section in half. And this is, it's stiff. You might want an adult to do this for you. And you can do the fine tuning. Or maybe you can do it. So now I have 8 petals. And I'm going to round the top so they're a little bit more flower-like. So it's hard to make it even. But just get started and it'll sort of work out. Because that's what I did here. You can also leave the tops straight and just cut without rounding the tips. But I want to show you how to round the tips. So you just, it's a little bit awkward. Just hold it however comfortable for you. And I like to go one side at a time and go around. I find that a little bit easier. I'm holding it upside down and doing it. And then I hold it up, right side up, and do the other direction. This is what I like to do, but you find what works for you. Some of these are a little bit wonky. Just do your best. Keep going around, rounding the tips. Some are really wonky. And one of them is just impossible. But anyway, that's pretty much, oh, I see I missed one right there. Okay, so that's pretty much it. So you can fine tune it as much as you like. Then, and I showed you this one, so you've got round tips, straight, this is kind of a carnation. There's little pieces like this too that can be put inside a flower like that if you want. Glue that inside. And the leaves. Nice to make leaves, and some of them are curved, which I think is very pretty, and some are flat. So it's this section right here. If you want to make a curved leaf, draw on it like this. I hope you can see this. And that makes a very pretty curved leaf. And that adds some nice texture. So some of these, I'll show you this again. Some of these are curved from that edge, and some are flat. So a little variety adds visual interest. Now the colors, I wanted sort of a medium pastel for spring, but they could be very bright for summer. They could be Mexican colors for Cinco de Mayo, and they can be one color. These can all be pink or red or shades by diluting the color with white. That's also pretty. I made the base green, but you don't have to. It can be any color you like. It can be funky. It can be pretty. There's just all sorts of moods you can do, starting with a simple egg carton, which is great fun. Now I want to show you the trick I use for this little hanging loop. Okay, I've got the two punched holes. This is the right side. So I'm going to aim to put the string in from the front and pull it through to the back. This is all one of those crazy things to do. I wanted to show you, you can always use scissors to help punch it through if it's being a little stubborn. There, I've got that one through. I'll try to do the other one. I used about 10 inches of string, and string is really fine for this because it's not going to show. Get that string in there, pull it through, push a little bit more. Sometimes it takes patience to do this. Push it through a little bit more. There, I think I've got it. So now you pull it flat. And then the secret to making a very small loop, this is what I like to do. I place a pencil right there. And then I just tie a knot firmly over the pencil, maybe even a couple knots, just to make sure it stays. I think I'll do one more. And then I just cut this off like that and remove the pencil. And this makes a very discreet hanging loop. It's enough to hang without showing on the front. And then when you paint the front, you can paint right over the string. Now if you do want the ribbon to show, you can thread the ribbon right in here, right through this. So it's extremely versatile. Like that, tie a ribbon. So that's my favorite little secret knot right in the back. I hope you enjoy making your timeless, eternally appealing wreath for whatever holiday you want, or just for a plain old gift. It can be any kind of, could be a very pretty birthday gift too. Thank you for joining us. Goodbye.